What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be highlighting Julio Rodriguez and the Seattle Mariners. Now, in my opinion, I think the Seattle Mariners have a chance to become what the San Diego Padres did in roughly like the 2017-2018 season after acquiring Fernando Tatis Jr. Now, from an investing standpoint, smaller market teams never sell, and the Padres, even though they were in California, were one of those teams that did not have players that automatically generated a lot of money, from their card standpoint. They weren't guys like the Dodgers where once a player gets traded there, his cards go up. The Padres were not that. They were like the complete opposite. And so the Mariners are in the same boat right now. But what gives you hope as an investor for a player like Julio Rodriguez or Jared Kelenic or Noelvi Marte is they can become what the Padres did and start getting better prospects. And once the team starts becoming better, then you'll be able to make some more money from investing in those players. Now, Julio Rodriguez is a guy that's consistently hit for average throughout his career. You can see the last time that he played was in A-ball and high A in 2019. And he hit 293 in A-ball, which got him a call-up to high A, in which he hit 462, but his season was ended by I think, wrist fracture, but he hurt his wrist, and unfortunately his season ended there. So there were a lot of questions surrounding, is this going to affect his, long-term potential? Could this sideline him for longer than just the end of the season? And fortunately for him, it's not really fortunately, but to an extent it kind of helped him due to his injury. COVID canceled the entire minor leagues, so he didn't have to struggle with trying to play every day while dealing with an injury or not a fully healed wrist. He was able to allow his wrist to fully heal and come back at full strength for this season. Now he's starting in high A again, and as you can see, he's almost identical to the amount of at-bats he played last year. He's 10 short. He was hitting 462 with 2 home runs in high A the last time that he played. Currently this year, he is hitting 327, which is really good considering his average has dropped. He went 0 for 4 last game, and when you're under 100 at-bats, going 0 for 4 really hurts your average. So I'm not really worried about that. He's been hovering right around the 360 mark for the entire season. But what you love to see is his OPS is 1.14, which is phenomenal. He has 5 home runs and 12 RBIs in only 55 at-bats, which is, do the math, it comes out to 1 home run every 11 at-bats, which is really good from a statistical standpoint. It's hard to keep up averages like that, but the best in the game in the MLB can do that, so hopefully Julio can. But what I love to see is he is at 5 doubles. He's showing that he has plus speed. I think he's, regarded as a player with, we can check here for the top prospects, he's their number 2 prospect. But let's see what grade they gave him. So they gave him a 50 for his run grade, and people are saying that might be a little low. He's been running out some triples this year. He's been showing that he has better speed than he's shown in the past. He already has 3 stolen bases. Now, the last time he had a number close to that was in fall ball, but for a full season, it was when he was in foreign rookie ball and had 10 steals. I think he's showing that he has that base running aggressiveness. Even though he's gotten bigger, he, as you can see, is up to 6'3", 180. I'm not 100% sure if that's a current size. He might be a little bit bigger. He might have lost some weight doing conditioning over the COVID break. Who knows? But regardless, his hitting stats are phenomenal. For a player like Julio, I haven't even checked his defense. I really don't think it matters. As long as you consistently hit the ball for average and power, he's a guy from the investing standpoint that's going to sell. Now, this is his awards. He has just won Offensive Player of the Week for high A. He has been going crazy these past 3 games like I've talked about. But what you can see is the last time he played in 2019, he was an All-Star. He was a rising star. 2018, he was a postseason All-Star as well as an All-Star. So this is a guy that's consistently put up the awards. He's had Players of the Week, as you can see here. He's been an All-Star in his 2 seasons that he's played. He's a guy that's consistently generated hype around him, and he's been able to hit the ball, and he's proving that now he can just do it at a higher level in America, which is what a lot of prospects struggle with once they move over from, let's say, the Dominican Republic to the United States. It's a tough challenge. Now, one article that I just recently found, Julio Rodriguez has not had anything written on him. This is by Christopher O'Day of Fansided. He is saying Julio Rodriguez could be the next Frank Robinson. I do not know too much about Frank Robinson, but like he says here, this is what really caught my eye. Could he become the greatest power hitter of all time? Sure, it's a possibility for any player with really good power, but becoming that greatest power hitter of all time is really crazy. They're looking at it from a statistical standpoint, but I think Julio could be close to that 40 home run a year mark. I don't know. I mean, 20 seasons is extremely hard to do. Very few players can put up numbers like that, and a lot of the times they were playing a lot longer back then than they are now. So I don't know if he'll ever be statistically the greatest power hitter ever, but I do not think 40 home runs a year is out of the equation for Julio Rodriguez. Again, there's talk about the 45 to 50 range speed. I really don't like that. I think he's showing that he's up to that 55 to 60 range. I don't think he's going to be any higher than that just because of his size, but I think I wouldn't be surprised to see if his speed grade is upgraded by the end of the season. Now, the reason why I really love Julio is because of the team that he's on. He is on a Mariners team that they're kind of in the middle of the pack. They're not super young for the MLB roster, but they have young players like Kyle Lewis. Ty France is right, he's just started playing, but he's playing really well. He's up there in age. I think he's like 25. You've got J.P. Crawford, who's proving that he can consistently hit, something that he's struggled with in the past. Those are three guys right there that can help you. And then if you look at their top prospects, you've got Taylor Trammell, who is on fire this year in the minors. He really couldn't hit the ball in the MLB, but this year he had 83 at-bats in the majors and was hitting 157, but in his 26 at-bats in AAA, he is hitting 577 with 4 home runs, and he's only played 26 at-bats. He is killing it in AA. I'd have to expect they call him back up just to think maybe he can, get something going, and that'll help him. But the reason I love the Mariners is right here you've got Jarred Kelenic and Julio Rodriguez. Two guys that are both outfielders that should both be up by the beginning of next season. Following that, you have Taylor Trammell. That's your outfield of the next 10 years. And then you're forgetting that they also have Kyle Lewis as their center fielder currently. Now, do I think Kyle Lewis is a little bit better than Taylor Trammell currently? Yes, I do. Do I think either player could be their future alongside Kelenic and Julio Rodriguez? Yes. I think it's going to be a battle between and Kyle Lewis for that center field spot. I'm pretty sure Kelenic is currently a center fielder, but I'm not 100% sure. I think him and Julio will man the left and right field, and it'll be a battle between Trammell and Kyle Lewis for that outfield spot. But right there, I'm thinking 5 years in the future, that's the best outfield in the MLB. Now add that to 3 of the Mariners' top 5 prospects are all starting pitchers. You've got Emerson Hancock, who was a 6th overall pick. Then you have Logan Gilbert, who was the 14th overall pick, followed by George Kirby, who was the 20th overall pick. You've got 3 first-round picks that are top 5 prospects for your team that are guys that are going to help your rotation down the line. A lot of teams that are not super big markets only have 3 really good starting pitchers, and then they have those other 2 rotational guys that can get you a win, when needed, but they're not going to be counted on consistently to have a super low ERA. So I think right there, if you look at it based off of potential, you've got your outfield in Kelenic and Rodriguez. You've got 3 starters in Hancock, Gilbert, and Kirby. And you've got Trammell fighting out that center field spot with Kyle Lewis. And then you think about it, you've got Ty France, if he can continue hitting this way as your DH. I think that's where they're playing him this year. Now, a player that I really like and I'm super high on is Noelvi Marte. I call him Noelvi. He's a 19-year-old that's already standing at 6'1", 180. I just don't know if he keeps growing. Will he be able to play short? He very well could, but I think J.P. Crawford is currently playing short, so I wouldn't be surprised to see one of them moved maybe to second or third. I don't think they could move him to the outfield at this point just because of how crowded it is, but I think Noelvi is a really good player. His grades are a little low. I think for 50 hit and 50 power or 55 power, it's not bad at all. I think his hit grade's going to go up because this year in 52 at-bats for A-ball with the Modesto Nuts, he is hitting .404 with 3 home runs. Now, he went 3 for 3 yesterday, along with 3 walks, a home run, and 5 RBIs, which is insane to see. If you guys watched my Wisconsin Dells card show video, you'll see that I picked up his orange refractor, and that's not even something that I wanted. It caught my eye. He's a guy that I liked in the past, and he was on fire this year, and he's only getting better. He is a player, along with Luis Matos, that I think are 2 guys that could potentially hit over 400 for this season, which would totally skyrocket their markets and their cards as well. So those are, their top prospects for the Mariners. If you even look at the top 8 with Cal Raleigh, he could be their catcher of the future. I'm not 100% sure how is he hitting this year. He's hitting .286. He's a guy that consistently can hit for average as a catcher, which is something not many catchers can do. He's 24, so I'm assuming he'll have to be called up by the end of the season. But I think the Mariners have a really good chance where if they can get a few free agents to fill in some holes, I think in their top 10 prospects, they have roughly, you look at Kelenic and Rodriguez and Trammell, that's 3. You have 3 pitchers, so 6, 7, and 8 for Marte and Raleigh. You've got 8 position players right there, and I'm counting the 5 pitchers. You've got 8 of your, 14 position players filled right there, and then you just need some guys that are already at the MLB level, in addition to maybe some free agents, and you've got one of the best lineups in baseball, which is going to increase your prices. Now, we're going to go back to a investing standpoint here and look at Julio Rodriguez. Now, something that I think is really affordable if you can't afford his auto PSA 10s, which as you saw in the Wisconsin Dells card video, I picked one up for $1,700, which I don't even know if that's a good buy. I saw they were going right around there, and I knew Julio was going to have a good season, which is why I thought they'd go up. But they're sitting at $162. Best offer, you saw $156. I think if you can get a few of them for $150 a piece, I think that's really good. It's a tough thing to question. Would you rather have a PSA 10 auto, or would you rather have at this point it's 100, you're looking at 10 to 12 Julio Rodriguez PSA 10 base cards. I think that's pretty balanced. I think I'd even rather have the 10 to 12 base card PSA 10s than a single auto PSA 10. But it's something you guys can think about as a cheaper alternative that is more affordable and that still has that high potential to go up in price. But what I really want to look at is his Bowman Chrome autos. I'm just trying to see if there's any recently sold on eBay. Tons of his base cards. If you could maybe get a black label or BGS 10, I think a black label for the same price as a first Bowman auto is a really good deal. And I just don't know if there's any of those on the market, obviously. But I think his PSA 10s have a lot of room to go up, especially if he becomes that #1 prospect in baseball. I'll look up autos just to see what's going on in the market, if there are a lot. Because if there's a lot, I really would question buying them. You see a refractor PSA 10 auto sold. And I don't know if you guys know this, but you can go to SlabWatch, SLABWATCH.com, I think. And it's a site that I've been using, and it allows you to check best offer tools. You just copy and paste the item number, and it shows you the actual best offer price, which is really useful for sports card investing. But as you can see here, his Atomic PSA 9, wow, that's a really good deal for $1,200. Whoever got that's a good deal. You see a PSA 9 here for $650. His autos aren't crazy yet. His refractor, wow, that's a really good deal. His refractor for $2,075 is a really good deal at a PSA 10 level. I would have bought that for sure. But his autos are not too expensive. I want to see if there's any up for bids right now that could be a buy it now offer. There's one here as I'm recording this at 11 o'clock in the morning at $305 for a base card. If you guys think you could buy maybe a refractor here and grade it and possibly get a 9 or a 10, the value is going to increase, even for a PSA 9. If you can get that maybe for $800 or $750, if you grade that and get a 9, you add in $300 for grading fee, the 9 is going to go for around $1,500 alone. Add it, if you get a 10, that card's even more. I think that's something you guys might want to look into. But his PSA 10s are hovering right around, I'd say $1,800 to $2,000 for buy it now or best offer. It might be smart to look and see if you can throw in some offers, because there are always sellers that are willing to sell for a low price to cash out. But I think it's going to be a smart buy for you guys to look at for Julio Rodriguez Bowman Chrome Autos. Now, next, I want to look at Noelvi Marte. He is a guy that has not taken off yet. His refractor, BGS 95, and this is a True Gem Plus. They're asking $800. You're not going to find that for very long on the market if it continues to play this way. As you can see, I was looking at this PSA 9 refractor for $550, thinking maybe if I can get that for $400, I think that's a really good buy for a guy who's hitting for average consistently and could potentially hit 400 on the year. I think that's a really good buy, at least short term, and I'm thinking about long term as well.
That's okay. Shit.
What else am I looking at? I guess his color is always a pretty good investment. If you have more money, I think that's riskier considering how much you're going to have to put up for a guy that is sitting in A ball with the Modesto Nuts. It's really hard for me to want to put up $10,000 or $3,000 for an 8 on a guy in A ball, but I really wouldn't buy these. I would stick to the True Golds, even though they're going to be more expensive, but I wouldn't. If you really want to get a gold, even for the look of it, that gold shimmer might not be a bad option for you, at least considering it's an auto. So those are the two guys that I'm really looking forward to for the Mariners, highlighted by Julio Rodriguez. I think he is going to be the #1 prospect in baseball by the end of the season, and I would not be surprised if he takes the MLB by storm next season once he gets a call-up. His cards are going to go crazy once he gets called up. Look at what Jared Kelenic did. So I would be super excited if I have been stocking up on Julio's. If I'm buying them currently, waiting for next season, his stuff is 100% going to go up in value. Even if he continues to play the same way, if he hits around 300, once he gets called up, his stuff is almost guaranteed to go up. That's what it does for every single prospect. Just because you're getting up to the show and you could have that potential to be a next Mike Trout, I would recommend you guys start looking into any prices that you could get for a really good deal, any autos or base cards like we talked about, and I think those would be really smart investments. So let me know down in the comments below, who do you guys think is going to have a better long-term career? Do you think it's going to be Julio Rodriguez, or do you think it might be somebody else on the Mariners, like Kelenic or Noelvi Marte or even Taylor Trammell? I'm always looking at the comments, and I love to see what you guys are thinking because we have to all work together if we want to make a ton of money sports card investing. Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll get you guys in the next video.